So guys, I guess did you know exactly where you were, and has that kind of put everything in perspective a little bit? Like when you got here, you didn't know what England had done and how far you'd come. So what did you kind of learn from the game, you know?
Yeah, I think talking from a coach's perspective, really more around our second half really showed probably where we were at. I think you put the first half down to a bit of nerves and a bit of excitement, to be honest, and we started off well. Yeah, it wasn't great. We got points, but I wasn't worried about what points we scored. I was more worried about how we contained, and probably to allow 38 points. If you were to look at past Test matches against England and Australia, it's probably not a bad result. It's not the result we wanted tonight, but saying that, it does give us a benchmark of where we are currently. Do I think we're better than what we played? I think the second half shows you what Australia's potential is. We just couldn't get across the line, and that's how we are. But I think the guys can hold their head high, knowing that all that work they put in, it did come through in moments of that game, 100%.
I think the last time we played was against England as well. Like have you improved since then? And have they? So yes, we have. I think from 2019 when we played England, the team that we've got today is a little bit different as well in regards to the talent that we have. And not to say the talent that we had in 2019 wasn't up to what we needed to play. I just didn't think that we potentially gelled where we needed to, and our preparation time probably wasn't as great as this one. So have we come along? Yeah, I think we have. I think we've played pretty good football. I think from a spectacle point of view, the World Cup wanted a pure test match. I think tonight they got a benchmark of test match that they should expect from Woolwich, and we're not going to back down. To say, have England gotten any better? Look, England have always been strong. And to us, are they the benchmark? Yeah, they are. Are we focused on how they play? No, we're not. We're trying to bring a different breed of football into our game. And you saw that a little bit tonight. They might call it bully, but that's okay. We just call it high intensity, and we just try to play it. So, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that new approach, mate, the physical and the aggressive approach?
Yeah, I think in the past, we've been a development country, so we've been trying to just set things up. Now we've kind of got that down packed. We can come out a bit more harder, a bit more aggressive. We've got the size to do it now, and it showed out there today with some of the hits. In the past, some of us have kind of just, once we've been hit, they knock down. We've had injuries and stuff like that. But this time around, I think we've got that solid strength to push through. And as I said, it showed tonight. I'm impressed with how the boys went. We showed that. It took a bit to get before we got to that aggression that we needed, but we got there.
I think probably everyone's raving about the game as a spectator, especially on television. I think you hope that we have that sort of reaction.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do from an Australian point of view, and to be honest, I don't care about the other nations in a gameplay, but as in what we're trying to do from an Australian is to actually expose the sport to Australia and say, hey, look, this is a wheelchair-related sport. And I think that game tonight, or this morning over in Australia, if they're watching that, I hope that there are people who are wheelchair-bound and able-bodied people will go, hey, I want to play this, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking to bring it into mainstream, to show them that this game is of quality, which it is, and if tonight doesn't show people that this is a quality sport, then something's seriously wrong.
So you sort of grow any sport, you kind of need like icons and sort of people that stand out. I mean, for England, it's obviously Jack, but I guess for you guys, Bailey was throwing himself into the tackles, wasn't he? I guess he's probably the one that, obviously not going to be a one-person team, but he's the one that, could probably be the one that really captures the imagination of us. Yeah,
I think on Jack, Jack's always been a rock for the England team. Seb as well, and a few of the other guys, Nathan and Tom now coming in as their captain. But Jack's also now lives in Australia, up in Queensland, with Bailey and a few of the other guys in the team, so Pete and Zach and Adam. And he's the coach of the Queensland State of Origin team for our wheelchair fixtures. So a bit of Jack's probably flair rubs up on these guys, and that's great. Look, I wish Jack all the very best, but I'd also like to kick his backside too when we're playing right. Let's be honest. But with it, Bailey, yeah, we've got some big names in our team. We've got some big personalities. You know, you can't rule out guys like James Hill. You can't rule out guys like Zach Schumacher and Adam Tannick and Diab Karim, who I thought Diab had a pretty good game tonight. And we've got some older blood too. Brad's one of those who's been representing for quite some time, but also, you know, guys that have been around for quite a while with Craig Canaan who could bring that experience in. And then obviously you've got the bite from Pete Arbuckle as well. There is a really good group of players here, and I think every one of them probably has something to offer the sport in regards to a kid that's watching, or somebody that's in the same position, whether it's an amputee, whether it's someone with spina bifida, whether it's someone that's had an accident and now he's in a chair, or someone that knows somebody and they want to play a sport together. I think there's someone within the Australian team that people can actually communicate and relate to.
This sort of staging and sort of, I guess a bit of showbiz with the lighting and all that sort of stuff, is that something that could be done in Oz, you know?
I think it can. Mm-hmm. We've got the facilities to be able to do it. It's a spectacle sport, it's a spectator sport. We just need more eyes on it to get to that stage. Of course, everything comes down to funding, the dollar, and we just haven't got that at the moment. But that support's coming. Hopefully, someone at home will see what's happening here and will go, look, that's something we can do in Australia. And I think there's nothing but positive things that are going to happen for the sport back home because of what's happening here.
Yeah, well, we've had, and I'm backing on that too, we've probably already started to break those doors and bash on them from the fact that today we saw a video as part of our pre-team warm-ups and preparation with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Parliament talking about wheelchair rugby league and the boys being over here. So to us, that's a huge step forward to actually be spoken about within Parliament. And it wasn't just a one-liner, it was a 2-minute speech around what we're doing and the purpose of being here. And I think the guys can hold their heads high knowing that they're being ambassadors for Australia, not just for wheelchair rugby league. So for me, I'm over the moon.
You guys mentioned a bit about Jack. Is it a bit close to home, watching him sort of win player of the match and sort of get the better of you guys, or is it more of a positive, like you're mentioning, that he's rubbing off on some of your guys, or is it a bit of a double-edged?
I didn't say, he's rubbing off. I don't know if it's always good, but yeah, no, he is. So him getting played a match, if you saw him, like we all saw him play tonight, he came off the bench, and that was the change. That was the change. Now, is it because he's familiar with the players that are in the Australian team? Probably not, because that's Jack's game anyway, right? I don't know, I'm not. I think that he was probably one of the standouts out there. That's what the difference was. We were in the arm wrestle early, and then he came on, and that's when the game started to open up. And we need to be more conscious of that, and what's happening there. And that's just part of our learning. But if you look at the results for last test matches, and I think Jack has had a positive impact on our gameplay and our brand of football. He knew what to expect too, because he's been part of it. In regards to some of the training and stuff that the guys are doing up in North Queensland. But yeah, hats off to him for the work today. It was fantastic.
And Brad, for you, and from a playing perspective, does it sting a little bit more for someone the boys know so well to sort of put in a performance like that?
Not really. We know what skills Jack's got. We've played him before. He's golden boot over here and the rest of it. So we know what he can do with the sport and what he does on the court. So again, congratulations to him. He deserves it. So it doesn't sting at all. If anything, it just, now that he's back home, hopefully they'll help us, bring a bit more exposure to it, purely because he's got man of the match and he's now living in Australia.
You guys have got Ireland next. How much of their game against Spain did you get to see earlier on, and what you expected from them?
Yeah, we did watch a bit in the hotel before we came over. We also sat at the end of the court here too, watching how they played. We'll just regroup. I'm not disappointed with the effort that the boys put in. We'll just keep our focus, and we'll plan to head off to Sheffield in a couple of days' time.
You saw the Irish captain, Jones, who got 4 tries, and said he's buzzing to come up against you guys. Is he someone you're going to be looking out for after that?
yeah, look, a game from game, I suppose it's one of those things. If he scores 4, he might score none against us, maybe. He might score 8, who knows. But our job is to stop everyone, regardless if they're maybe that team superstar or best player. To us, it doesn't matter. We just want to play our brand of football. And as you saw tonight, it is fairly aggressive, and both teams rose to the occasion. So hopefully Ireland does the same, because it doesn't help us if one team's more dominant than the other. It just doesn't help us, doesn't help the sport. So, like I said, we'll regroup and then we'll come and play.